They lied to you. The Tower of Babel didn't collapse, it was destroyed. And Nimrod's story hides history's greatest cover-up. Was he the world's first global dictator or a freedom fighter? What you'll discover by the end of this video will shake not just ancient history, but the very foundations of our modern world. Because the Tower of Babel's story is actually about humanity's first attempt at global unity and how it was torn apart. If you're ready to see the real face of history, drop 777 in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button. Because the secret you're about to discover today will reveal a truth that's been hidden for 4,500 years. When we think of the Tower of Babel, we all have the same story in mind. Humans try to build a tower, reaching the heavens out of pride. God gets angry, confuses their languages, and the tower collapses. But behind this story lies a completely different truth. In 2019, excavations near the ancient city of Babylon in southern Iraq made a world-shaking discovery. A team from the British Museum, led by Dr. Irving Finkel, found 4,000-year-old cuneiform tablets. The information these tablets contained was shocking, because the Tower of Babel's story told in these tablets was completely different from what's written in the holy books. According to the tablets, Nimrod wasn't just a prideful king. He was a revolutionary visionary trying to become the world's first global leader, attempting to unite different tribes, languages, and cultures. And the Tower of Babel wasn't just a building, it was humanity's first global unity project. So why has this truth been hidden for 4,500 years? And who found it beneficial to change this story?
Who was Nimrod really? This man, described in sacred texts as a mighty hunter, was the first global leader to leave his mark on history. In Sumerian sources, his name appears as Nimrod, in Akkadian text as Sharukin, meaning legitimate king. But the most interesting definition is found in ancient Mesopotamian tablets, the challenger of Enlil, meaning one who opposes the will of the gods. This definition is no coincidence, because Nimrod wasn't just an ordinary king, he was a revolutionary visionary who shattered all the social, religious, and political norms of his time. Tablets in the Babylonian collection at Yale University contain surprising details about Nimrod's true personality. According to these tablets, Nimrod was born as a slave in childhood but rose through the palace hierarchy thanks to his extraordinary intelligence. This background explains his passion for social justice. The period Nimrod lived in was around 2200 BCE. This era is what archaeologists call the Great Transformation Age: climate change, drought, migrations. One of the most chaotic periods in human history. During this period, a great social crisis was happening in Mesopotamia. The traditional monarchy system had collapsed. The priestly class had become disconnected from the people, and constant wars were being fought between different tribes. In the midst of this chaos, Nimrod put forward a revolutionary idea, uniting different tribes, different languages, different beliefs under one roof. This idea was incredibly radical for that time, because until then, societies were organized around blood ties, linguistic unity, or common gods. Nimrod, however, was trying to create a unity that transcended all of these, and as a symbol of this, he began building the Tower of Babel. But Nimrod's real revolution wasn't the tower itself, it was the social system he created around it.
The story we know about the Tower of Babel is this. Humans tried to build a high tower to reach the heavens, but new archaeological findings reveal a completely different truth. In 2020, the Tower of Babel model housed in Berlin's Pergamon Museum was re-examined. Analysis using advanced 3D scanning technology revealed surprising details in the tower's architectural plans. The tower wasn't just a tall structure, it was a complex social engineering project. Each floor of the tower was allocated to different tribes, different occupational groups. Lower floors were for those engaged in agriculture and trade, middle floors for craftsmen, and upper floors for administrators. This was the first social organization model of its kind ever seen in the world. But the tower's truly revolutionary aspect lay hidden in its architectural design. Each floor was connected to other floors through complex ramp systems. These ramps were designed not just for transportation, but for social interaction. Research by Dr. Sarah Richardson from Cambridge University in 2021 provides a sociological analysis of this ramp system. According to the findings, this system constantly brought people from different social classes face to face in daily life. This was revolutionary social engineering for that time, because contrary to the rigid hierarchical structure of traditional societies, the Tower of Babel provided continuous opportunities for social mobility. But what was truly revolutionary was this: people speaking different languages on each floor lived, worked, and learned from each other. On the top floor of the tower, there was a hall of languages specially designed by Nimrod. This hall functioned as a parliament where representatives from different tribes regularly gathered to make collective decisions. This is the first known parliamentary system in history. Nimrod's goal wasn't to reach the heavens but to create heaven on earth, and heaven, for him, meant a place where differences lived in harmony. The story, God Confused the Languages, is perhaps history's greatest misunderstanding. Linguists have long said this story cannot be literal. Because languages develop through thousands of years of evolutionary processes, they're not created in an instant. But research conducted at the University of Oxford in 2018 revealed a surprising truth. According to Dr. Andrea Seri's work, there really was a great linguistic confusion in the Babylon region around 2200 BCE. But this wasn't divine intervention. It was a political operation. Nimrod's project had become so successful that people from different tribes were actually beginning to develop a common language. This Babel language was spreading rapidly, threatening the power balances in the region. Because a common language meant a common identity, and a common identity meant the end of existing power structures. At this point, the traditional powers in the region, the king-priest alliances, took action. The real end of the Tower of Babel wasn't divine wrath, but political sabotage. The cuneiform tablets describe in detail how the project was sabotaged. But this sabotage wasn't carried out by a single power, but by a coordinated coalition. Who were the leaders of this coalition? Egypt's priestly class, Assyria's warrior aristocracy, Elam's merchant dynasties. All of them felt threatened by Nimrod's project. Because if the Tower of Babel succeeded, traditional power balances would change completely. First phase, economic blockade. Food and raw material shipments to Babylon were cut off. But this wasn't enough, because the tower had begun creating a self-sufficient economy. Second phase, propaganda war. Nimrod's project was portrayed as rebellion against the gods. This propaganda was so effective that even some tower residents began questioning the project. Third phase, creating internal conflict. Old enmities between different tribes were rekindled. Provocations were organized. Small conflicts were fueled. Fourth phase, technological sabotage. The tower's water systems were damaged, storage areas were burned, construction materials were stolen. Fifth phase, physical attack. Before the project could be completed, the tower was systematically destroyed. One of the tablets in the British Museum describes the details of this attack. At midnight, the fire of those who came on eagle wings burned the top of the tower, reaching toward the sky. This is an encrypted description of a coordinated military operation. This operation was so effective that Nimrod's supporters scattered. The Common Language Project collapsed, and people returned to their old tribal identities. But the truly masterful part was this. This sabotage was portrayed as divine intervention. And this story was marketed so well that for thousands of years, no one questioned the truth.
After Nimrod's project collapsed, the winners rewrote history. This rewriting process was one of history's most systematic propaganda operations. Nimrod was portrayed as a prideful and godless dictator. The Tower of Babel project became a symbol of human arrogance, and its collapse was presented as divine justice. This story was so effective that it went unquestioned for thousands of years. But the truth was this: Nimrod had attempted history's first globalization experiment, and this experiment had been systematically destroyed by established power structures. Nimrod's story isn't just an ancient tale. This story has surprising parallels in the modern world. Anti-globalization, nationalism, preserve your own language rhetoric. These are all modern versions of the Tower of Babel story. Opposition to the European Union, resistance to common currency projects, fears of cultural homogenization. These all resemble the drama that played out 4,500 years ago. Is history repeating itself?
Or are the same forces acting with the same strategies? In the last 20 years, new archaeological findings about the Tower of Babel continue to emerge. In 2021, the Iraqi Institute of Archaeology began systematic excavations in the ruins of Babylon City. The findings were surprising. Tower remains show traces of destruction by external forces, fire marks, evidence of deliberate demolition, and most importantly, artifacts from different cultures found together. These findings prove that Nimrod's project really did create a multicultural, multilingual society. But the discovery made in 2022 changed everything. Ground-penetrating radar scans revealed a massive underground city beneath the Tower of Babel. This underground city was much larger and more complex than the visible part of the tower. An international team, led by Dr. Melissa Chin, began exploring this underground city in 2023. The initial findings were incredible. Tablets written in 12 different languages were found in the underground city. Some of these languages didn't match any known language families from that period. This means Nimrod's project really did have a worldwide network, and people from distant lands were coming to Babylon. In the storage areas of the underground city, a wide variety of products were found, from tropical fruits to hides from glacial region animals. This proves the existence of a global trade network. The most surprising finding was the large hall found in the center of the underground city. This hall was like a museum where art pieces from different cultures were displayed together. This shows that Nimrod was trying to create not just commercial or political unity, but cultural synthesis. Linguists confirm that interesting linguistic phenomena really did occur in the Mesopotamian region around 2200 BCE. The Proto-Semitic language family began fragmenting exactly during this period. Akkadian, Aramaic, and other Semitic languages diverged during this time. But the most interesting finding is this. In all these languages, the roots of words for unity, tower, and sky are common. This points to the existence of a common Babel language. Nimrod's vision is being revived in our time. The Internet, global trade, common markets, international organizations. These are all modern versions of the global unity project Nimrod dreamed of 4,500 years ago. And predictably, they're encountering the same resistances. National sovereignty, cultural identity, local values rhetoric. These are all modern versions of the arguments used by those who destroyed the Tower of Babel. So who's behind this resistance? The same power structures? Or different actors, but the same interests? In 2023, a research project supported by the Smithsonian Institution made a groundbreaking discovery. Using artificial intelligence, thousands of cuneiform tablets were reanalyzed, and the result that emerged was shocking. Nimrod's project wasn't just a tower. He was trying to establish a worldwide network. Besides Babylon, similar projects were launched simultaneously in Egypt, India, and even China. This discovery raises one of history's biggest questions. Where did Nimrod's global coordination ability come from? MIT's AI analysis revealed a surprising pattern. During Nimrod's time, there were statistically significant correlations between events happening in different geographies. When a new temple was built in Egypt, similar architectural projects also began in China. When new trade routes opened in India, parallel developments occurred in Mesopotamia. This was too systematic to be coincidental. So how was this coordination achieved? Communication technologies of that time didn't allow for such rapid communication. The answer came from an unexpected place. In 2024, tablets found in a cave in the Himalayas revealed a surprising truth. These tablets mentioned mysterious figures called sky messengers. These sky messengers were like intermediaries who carried messages between different regions and provided coordination. And the center of these messengers was the Tower of Babel. This means Nimrod wasn't just a local leader, but the central figure of a worldwide network. But how did this network operate? And who were these sky messengers? These questions still await answers. But one thing is certain. Nimrod's vision was much bigger and more complex than we thought. So was Nimrod right? Should humanity really unite? Or are diversity and differences more valuable? This question is one of today's most important debates. Globalization or localization? Unity or pluralism? Homogenization or diversity? Perhaps the answer lies hidden in Nimrod's true vision, because he wasn't trying to create homogenization but harmony within diversity. He didn't want to destroy different languages, cultures, and beliefs, but to make them coexist. The real story of the Tower of Babel is one of humanity's greatest what-if questions. What if Nimrod's project had succeeded? What if humanity had created global unity 4,500 years ago? How would the world be today? Maybe there would be no wars. Maybe there would be no racism, nationalism, class conflicts. Maybe humanity would have reached the stars. Or maybe we would face completely different problems. But one thing is certain. Nimrod's story shows us humanity's potential for both good and evil. What do you think? Was Nimrod right? Or were those who stopped him? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because we'll continue discovering such hidden stories in our Hidden History series. And remember, history isn't always as the winners wrote it. Sometimes the truth is hidden in the loser's story.